Today, Social Distortion are considered one of the most respected and influential punk bands in America. Their music blends punk, country, blues, and rockabilly into something uniquely their own. And frontman Mike Ness has become almost legendary for surviving decades of addiction, chaos, and reinvention. But before all of that, Mike Ness was a teenage punk kid in Orange County getting into fights, getting kicked out of homes, and spiraling deeper into drugs and self-destruction. The story starts in Southern California during the late 1970s punk explosion. Ness was still in high school when he got pulled into the underground scene, surrounding bands like the Adolescents, X, and the Circle Jerks. Punk at that time wasn't mainstream or fashionable, you got harassed for dressing differently, and Ness later talked about getting beat up constantly for the way he looked. At the same time, his personal life was falling apart. His parents divorced, he bounced between homes, and by the early 1980s he was heavily addicted to heroin. Ness later described many of the places he lived as basically shooting galleries filled with addicts and violence. One of the most infamous places from that era was an apartment nicknamed the Black Hole, a chaotic punk house in Fullerton that became legendary in Orange County punk history. Parties, drugs, fights, police raids. The place became so iconic that the Adolescents later wrote Kids of the Black Hole about it. Meanwhile, Social Distortion were slowly building a following in the Southern California punk scene. Their 1983 debut album, Mommy's Little Monster, became an underground punk classic. But as the band grew, Ness's addiction got worse. He was getting arrested constantly, stealing to support his habit, and by his own account had gone to jail around 10 different times in a single year. Eventually, the band just fell apart under the weight of it all. When Social Distortion came back with Prison Bound in 1988, a lot of punk fans didn't know what to think. Instead of getting faster or more aggressive, the band started leaning heavily into country, blues, rockabilly, and Johnny Cash-style songwriting. To some people in the punk scene, it sounded like they were abandoning punk altogether. But Mike Ness wasn't trying to sound like the loudest or angriest band anymore. He started writing about addiction, regret, loneliness, survival, and getting older. And ironically, that honesty became the thing that separated Social Distortion from almost every other punk band around them. Then in 1990, the band released their self-titled album featuring songs like Ball and Chain, Story of My Life, and their cover of Ring of Fire. At that point, Social Distortion stopped feeling like just another Southern California punk band. They became something completely different, part punk rock, part outlaw country, part working-class American rock and roll. And the funny thing is, the same sound some punk purists criticized in the 1980s eventually became hugely influential. Over time, Social Distortion became one of the most respected bands in punk, inspiring generations of punk, alternative, and Americana artists that came after them.